My name is Pili, and I am here to tell you how Granly got started. It is actually one of the most inspiring things that has ever happened to me. Granly was started by two youth workers. A ministry to grandparents started by youth workers? That's a bit strange, right? It gets more strange. The idea came from a man who is a member of a religious order, no wife, no children, no grandchildren. And what might be the strangest of all, Granly was actually started when a 24-year-old single woman from Jalapa, Mexico agreed to be its first director. I am that woman. Let me tell you my story. In July of 2015, I went to an international youth conference in Costa Rica. I bumped into a man named Mike Shaughnessy that was speaking to the conference for people aged 18 to 25 about being bold in our faith. I had met Mike about 6 years before that when I was doing a gap year right out of high school in Lansing, Michigan. In 2015, I had finished university and was employed as an industrial engineer in Mexico. We decided to catch up over lunch. I told him about what I was doing and then asked him what he was doing. Most of what he told me I knew. It was youth work still. But then he started telling me about this idea he had but hadn't yet acted on. I want to get grandparents doing youth work. He instantly got my attention. I had never heard such a radical idea, and I loved the freshness of it. I loved how innovative it was, and the more he said, the more I caught a vision for what grandparents could really do. This would be a project that activates grandparents to play a key role in young people's lives. How did you ever come up with this idea? I asked, and then he told me a story. He was playing golf one day with a friend who kept asking him questions about youth. Mike, I think my grandson is ready for a retreat of some sort. Do you have a retreat that I could send him on? Well, this grandparent actually sent his grandson on a retreat that had a huge impact in his life. That grandfather was regularly thinking how he could reach his grandchildren with the gospel. Not long after, Mike was in a car with a different friend who got a text from his wife and said, Mike, remind me to stop and get a birthday card for my granddaughter on the way back. We'll probably give her $20 instead of 10. She's becoming a teenager already. This difference was very interesting to Mike. Both grandparents loved their grandchildren, no doubt, but one was thinking strategically about what he could do to impact them, and the other just wasn't. He was probably just imitating his own grandfather and what he did for him. He had no model or no vision for what he could be doing. But the first grandfather was someone who thought, who prayed, and who acted differently than other grandparents. What if we could equip a lot more grandparents to work strategically with their own grandchildren? Let's say 10,000 just for starters, would probably impact 50,000 kids. Mike finished telling me the story and then said that he needed someone to actually run this project. He looked at me and asked, would you be interested? I don't know if he could hear my heart or my mind whirling, but I knew I had to say, yes, tell me more. I'd always wanted to serve young people, but nothing had yet grabbed me. Without hesitation, he asked, okay, can I turn this lunch into your first job interview? That was a shock. I was just having lunch and suddenly I'm considering changing my career, moving to a foreign country, working in English and leaving my friends and family to work with grandparents on a mission to reach youth in a way that has never been done before. Remember, I was 24. There were obstacles, serious obstacles. I would need a visa, I would have to find the money to hire me, I'd need a place to live, and then I'd be leaving my friends and my family behind. I thought about it and prayed, and there was something about this that felt, well, the way that I think the first disciples felt when Jesus called them into ministry. They couldn't have known what they were signing up for, but there was something inside them that said, this is right, do it. I saw God right after that opening doors for me to enter a totally new mission field, one I had never thought of. About a few months later, I had what I needed, Mike had what he needed, and then I moved to Lansing, Michigan. That's how Granly began, founded by a man with no children and no grandchildren, and a young single woman from Mexico as its first director. Now, let me say something bold here. If I could do that as a 24-year-old, you can do youth work at 75. And we want to tell you how. How to be a strategic grandparent, how you can make a difference for your grandchildren, how you can become a missionary, a youth worker, and fulfill that call that God has given you, a call you may have never known about until now. The church needs youth workers, but what it really needs is more youth workers just like you. It needs grandparents on mission. If you are going to do grandparenting, do it grandly.